Hello, 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 everybody. This is Tammy, and I am live right now on YouTube, and I'm so excited to be. And let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a spiritual teacher, a mentor. I'm an intuitive healer, a psychic medium, and a channeler. So I do lots of things in the spiritual world, and I'm so super excited about it. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is Neville Goddard and the law of assumption. And so I've done probably a few videos on that because that is one of my favorite laws. And I think that it was a revolutionary law. So I pulled a card for us. Also, radical rebirth. And so I feel like it's an appropriate time to share that because it's time for us to have a radical rebirth. It's time for things to shift in this world. And that is what I'm feeling. And I've been feeling that for probably all of this year, that we are in the midst of a radical rebirth. And so it's time for us to make these changes and make these shifts. And so I'm super grateful for that. So, Neville Goddard's law of assumption. And so the law of assumption works like this. The law of assumption says that if you assume a thing, then it is. And so, what I want to really, really hone down on today on this short live that I'm doing with you guys is when you are one with the goal. And so that really is what the law of assumption is about. You become one with whatever it is that you desire. And so when you become one with that desire, then it brings it close to you and you are in, it's on your timeline. It's on your timeline. You bring it close to you and it's on your timeline. So it's not space between you and your goal. So you're not thinking that this is something that I have to attain, something I have to achieve. No, this is something that you have to assume. And so once you start getting your mindset in that space, and I'm telling you something that I know, not something that I have heard about. Of course, I've read it, and of course, I've listened to it. I have heard about it, but I'm telling you stuff from my experiences. And so I love to share that because I know that, all that stuff sounds really good and it sounds all airy fairy, is what people would say, but it's real. It is real. The law of assumption is real. And you want to really begin to start to use it if you haven't. And it's so easy. This is why I love this law so much because it was the easiest one for me to grab. I started studying the metaphysical laws probably a couple of years ago when I went to get my degree in metaphysics. I got my bachelor's degree in metaphysics. And I forget to talk about that, but I got my bachelor's degree in metaphysics, and I'm currently working on my master's and my PhD. And so with that being said, as I started studying these laws, because there are many metaphysical laws. There is the law of circulation. There's of course the law of attraction, the big one. Now I believe that the law of attraction is like an umbrella to all the other laws. There's the law of circulation. There is the law of revision, which I talked about in another video. And I think I'll probably link it. But that was amazing. Just the thought of, that you can revise a thing, and if you think about it, all of these laws are based on the feeling is the secret. I don't know if anybody picked that up yet because I haven't heard anybody speak on it. But I'm speaking on it because that is what I felt when I started reviewing all of these different laws and all of these metaphysical laws and seeing which one resonated the most with me and seeing which one I could use the easiest. Because I'm like everybody else. I want easy stuff. I want to be able to, I want things to flow to me. I want to be in the flow. And so when I think about that and I think about the law of assumption will put you in the flow because you just assume a thing. So I'm going to talk about some small things that I assumed, and then I'm going to talk about a big thing that I assumed. And so, because people always talk about that, you assume that a parking space is going to be available for you when you need it. You assume that the thing that you go to the store for is going to be there. You assume, okay, let me give you a good one, y'all. You assume that when you order the product from Amazon, that it's going to show up at your door, and you hope that it shows up in a day or two, because that is what they set up. That's how they set us up to expect. You know, when you order products from Temu, you know it's going to take a good week. Might take close to two, depending on what you order and how much. You know, I've gotten things in as little as 5 days, and it's taken me a week before. You know, and so and you think about that. You assume that. You assume when you drive through the drive-through at Dairy Queen. I'm gonna say Dairy Queen because that's where we went the other night. You drive through the drive-through at Dairy Queen. You're gonna order your food, and then you're gonna drive up, and they're gonna give you your food. You're gonna give them money. They're gonna give you food. You assume that, and that happens. Okay. So I want to share how I use the law of assumption for my car. So my car was dying. It actually died, and the engine blew. And so my car was 11 years old at that time. And so I assumed that they were going to fix this car and we weren't going to have to pay for it. And so when they called us from the dealership to tell us what was wrong, and then they said they would call us back and let us know what they could do. I told my husband, I told myself, I didn't say anything to anybody. This was between me and God and me. And so I said, they're going to call us back and they're going to say, we're going to fix this car at no cost for you. And what happened was the truth. So they called us back and they said, we're going to fix this car at no cost to us. So we got a brand new engine in my now 12-year-old car that we didn't have to pay for. Why? Because I assumed that that was how it was going to be. I assumed because I hadn't had to spend a lot of money on that car. It's been a really good car. I do have to take it for some type of recall or something, but I didn't have to do really anything. And so, I was just excited that I didn't have to have a new car, that I didn't have to pay for the engine in the car. It was so exciting. But I took the distance from between what I desired and what I wanted. I took the distance out. So it was already here. Do you understand how that can go? It was already here. It was already here. So there's no distance between it. So you don't have to worry about calling it in or anything like that. You just assume that it is. You assume that it belongs to you. You assume. Okay. So I'm going to use that law of assumption in a little twisted way. So I said that Columbus assumed that America belonged to whoever he sailed for. He was Spain or somebody. So Columbus assumed that America belonged to whoever. He just came in and he used that law of assumption and he assumed that it was here. No matter that there were people already here, that the Native Americans and even some of the Africans were here. We were already here. And he assumed that this land was his, that it was his for the taking. He assumed it. And so you see how the law of assumption can go. And we know that he assumed that because of what he did. So that is another thing. When you assume this thing that is, it already is. Not that you want out there somewhere in the space, in the universe, in the atmosphere, in the ethers. None of that. When you assume that, you already have this thing that is already yours. Thank you for subscribing and thank you for liking and sharing this out so that other people can get to hear this beautiful wisdom that I'm spitting because I'm breaking down Neville Goddard's law of assumption. And I'm sharing it in a way that I've never heard it. So I hope that you are picking up what I'm putting down because the law of assumption is the law that allows you to assume that this thing already has happened. It has already occurred. The money is already in the bank. You already have the house. You already have the car. You assume that these things. Now, what Neville Goddard said was, he said that he used a law of assumption in that he assumed that he was going on this trip to Barbados. Now, he was in New York, and you have to remember the time of this. They didn't have like planes that you could jump on and get to Barbados in a couple of hours like we do now. So they had to go on boats, big boats, ships, and there was only so much passage. Only so many people could get on this thing, because we didn't want the ship to sink like the Titanic. And so he assumed that he was in his bed in Barbados, but he was actually, his body was actually in New York. But do you know that not very long after, he was able to board the ship that didn't have any room and go to Barbados? Why? Because he assumed that it was so. And so, what I submit to you is that in our life, we can assume things and continue to keep assuming. And I know that what happens many times is when you first start to practice these laws, when you first start to shift your life and change the trajectory of where you are going, when you first start to do this, it can be very challenging, it can be very difficult. And then sometimes it just doesn't seem to work for you. But you have to consider that this is new for you. You know, you haven't always done this. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time for you to get yourself in the space, in the state, so that you can do this thing and receive the results that you're looking for. I hope this is helping somebody because it's sure helping me. But I am just so grateful that when you decide that you are going to assume this thing, and it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter what it is. It just is a matter of you assuming. So when you decide that you are going to assume this thing, whatever it is, like for me, right now, I'm assuming my house. I'm assuming that my credit is 700 or more. I am assuming that, and I know this. However, I'm also doing things also with it, you know. So I'm also praying. I'm also being in gratitude, and I'm also thanking, you know, my Creator for, you know, fixing this thing for me, you know. But I'm also some letters, you know. I'm also talking to the bureau. You know, I'm also dealing with some of the things. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not a license to just sit around and just wish. No, that's not what this is. This is assuming this thing and then acting like you know. Assuming. They used to say back in the 80s, act like you know. Act like you know. And so I'm going to say here in 2024, act like you know. Act like you know. Because when you assume that this thing is so, then you'll act in a different way. You'll start acting toward, you know, knowing that this thing is done. Not wondering or worrying or wishing or praying or none of that shit. You start acting like it is done. You start acting like that. And when you do, you move in a different way. You know, I walk in a different way because I know that abundance is here for me now. I know that all of my needs, all of my desires, all the things that I want are met. I'm sitting here right now thinking about the fact that I am going on a cruise next month, 7 days. I have never been on a cruise before in my life. This is my very first cruise. Like I've been on gambling cruises and stuff, but not long cruises where you have to stay on board. And this is my very first cruise, and I am going on it next month. And y'all know what else it's paid for, and I didn't have to struggle or worry about. And so that is the state that I'm living in. You know, I don't really have to go and work this job that I work. So I'm truly going straight on call. You know, I work a few days a month just to, you know, keep my license. Because that's what you have to do when you work in the medical field. You gotta work a little bit so you can get your license. And so that is, you know, going that point. You know, and that is what I have to see. But y'all know what? It took me a while to get here. Like it was not an easy thing. It was not a thing like that. You know what I mean? And so that's why when I talk to people, I tell them, you know, you have to decide, make a decision that this is the space and the state that you are going to live in. And you're going to live in this state where you assume the thing and you know that it is. So you don't have any struggles and no worries, and you're not concerned about anything because you know that this thing is because you know that this thing has happened. And so when you get yourself in that state and you reduce the space between the thing and you know, the thing can't be over there and you're over here. That's not how that works. But you reduce the space. And when you reduce the space, it's because you know that it is. You have assumed it. And then also you start to feel it in your body. That really is the thing when you start to feel it in your body. Because Neville Goddard was so correct about the feeling is the secret. Because when you feel bad, you can't manifest anything. When you are depressed and when you have anxiety running amok all through your body, your system, your nervous system is all out of whack and jacked up, you can't manifest nothing. You know that. You can't manifest anything. And what people do is they try to manifest in that state. But that's not a state that you can manifest from. Because you have to know. And you have to get that in your mindset. And I've heard a few people talking about this. And to be honest with you, I did not know how it could happen for me. But now I'm here telling you that I know how it can happen for me because it is happening for me. Because I have started to go and assume these things. Okay, I don't know what that's about. I don't even know what to do. Like I have a thank you, Stacy, for coming. I have a blue ball for the sound, but I don't know. Maybe it's because we missed. I don't know. I'll see what I can do, but there's not a lot. Um, I will. I think I'm gonna look and see. Maybe get another microphone. I have a big blue ball, and it's really cute on this, but I've been using it for a while, and it may just be time to upgrade. So I have a new computer. I have a camera. So yeah. So that might be something I'm looking to. Thank you. I appreciate you, Stacey, for sharing that with me. That way I can try to see. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I want to complete this and just let y'all know that when you assume this thing, I'm telling you, when you start to do it. Now, it may not happen like the first, like you assume that you're going to get a parking space, and what I say is start small like that, because what it does is it builds your belief and it allows you, to believe, because a lot of times, especially when we are in the midst of chaos, I was going to say hell, when we're in the midst of chaos, it's like you can't see anything, you can't feel anything, it like shuts you completely down, and so when you try to manifest from that space, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because you are too grounded. So really, the feeling is the secret. The feeling is the secret. It's, 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 it's simple, you know, but it's the shift that you have to make within yourself. And so as you make this shift and you start to assume these things, whatever it is that you desire, it could be assuming that you have a wonderful marriage, that you have an amazing spouse, or that your children don't act like fools. You could be assuming all of those things, but just keep yourself in that state. Really work on keeping yourself in that state so that you can manifest the things that you desire using this amazing law. The law of something is real and it's amazing and I love it. And I'll probably talk about it again tomorrow because I really want people to understand and I really have been breaking down some of these things that I didn't understand. Like I've been studying this stuff, like I said, for a while. Neville Goddard is one of my favorites. And I also love Florence Shannon. I'm going to talk about her and some of the things that she said because she was so amazing and she was before him. But in her book Game of Life and How to Play It is my go-to book, and I listen to a portion of it every day because it's that powerful. So I'll share that with you. I will also make sure that you guys are following me on TikTok at Intuitive Tammy also because I go there and I do live healings, readings, messages from heaven are always free and prayers. So I pray on the live usually about once an hour. I do a good prayer and we pray on the live, and then I also do messages from heaven for free. But I do readings as well, spirit readings as well. And for those, I charge 22.22 on my platform. So if that is something that you are looking for, I go live there pretty much every day. I didn't yesterday because I was exhausted, but I go live on there pretty much every day. So follow me there as well, and I appreciate you and thank you for subscribing if you have. If you haven't, why not? hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell so that you get notified when I pop on with more live like this. Because y'all know I love to pop on. Because to be honest with you, I do it when I have the energy for it. So when my energy's flowing and it's good, then I come on and have these conversations with you guys, and I appreciate you. And Stacy, thank you for that tip. I'm gonna look into it. Maybe I'll order something else and see if something else will work as far as the scent. Because I have heard that before, but not very many times. So I appreciate you and I thank you. And I hope that your day is amazing and magical. Everybody that's watching, everybody that has watched, everybody that will watch, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I appreciate you guys for sharing this out as well. Because I'm telling you, I have over 1,000 videos on this channel. So there's something for everybody I know. I have meditations, I have healings, I have all kinds of stuff. Also, my podcast, Straight Out of Savannah, where I interview spiritual entrepreneurs. So, those of you that are in the spiritual entrepreneur space, you would like to come on my show, you can either reach out to me through a comment, because I try to go back and look at all the comments, or you can go in my box section and email, because I think my email is in there. All right, so that is my life for today. I appreciate y'all and I thank you for joining me. And if you have any questions or you have any comments, even comment below. I thank you and I appreciate it. Like I said, I saved the chat. That way I can have it, to respond to it. So again, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Sweet